This segment of Delmarva Live is brought to you by State Farm Insurance.
Well, before the break, Dan Satterfield told us we may be in for a pretty active hurricane season here on Delmarva. That means the time to get your home ready is now.
And when it comes to protecting your home in a hurricane, you may not be aware that you could be subject to a hurricane deductible, meaning you may end up paying more than what you think should there be any damage to your home. Well, joining us today from State Farm Insurance is Agent Hunter Emery of Georgetown. Thanks again for coming in.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So this whole hurricane deductible thing, a lot of people may not even realize they have it. What is it? Explain it.
Well, a hurricane deductible is a deductible in addition to your regular standard deductible. So your regular deductible is a flat deductible. Let's use an example being $1,000.
Okay.
So if anything were to happen, you have a $1,000 deductible there for your policy. Now, if we had a hurricane that came through that roared up the coast here, your hurricane deductible will go into place. And what that is, it's a percentage of what the value is on your home.
Okay.
So if we have it $200,000 and we have a 1% deductible, it'd be 1% of that, $200,000. If it's 2%, 3%, 5%, there's some different options that are out there. Now, the reason why we have these hurricane deductibles in place is we have so many people moving towards the coastlines over time. So with that in mind, we take on that risk management situation. With so many people moving to the coast, there's probably a greater probability for more damage if we had a hurricane.
Right.
There's so many people living on the coast. Therefore, we need to have a higher deductible in order to offset our premiums and keep our premiums lower.
Now that's different from renter's insurance.
Correct. Your renter's insurance has a standard deductible on it through State Farm.
Okay.
I can only speak to us. But we have a standard regular $1,000 deductible on your policy, or $500 depending on where you're located at. If you had a loss, that regular deductible would apply if it was a hurricane, tornado, whatever the situation is. But for homeowners insurance, it's a little bit different because we're also insuring that building. We're insuring that house in addition to your personal belongings.
Now, Hunter, when does a hurricane deductible go into effect? It's not like full time.
Yeah, no. It only happens when the National Weather Service issues a hurricane warning for the county that it's located in. Now, each state's a little bit different, but Maryland, and you need to contact your agent, I should say first, before you go ahead and make a decision on that and find out what that looks like. But in Maryland and Delaware, what happens is it will go into effect when the National Weather Service makes that announcement, the warning goes into place, and it's in place until 72 hours after the storm has passed. So if you have anything that happens during that warning period within that 72-hour window, then your hurricane deductible is going to apply.
Okay, so with a hurricane, a lot of times you get flooding.
Correct.
Flooding is not covered by your homeowner's policy.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And the reason that is FEMA has stepped in to take over that. So when a body of water exceeds its normal guidelines, whether it's a storm surge, flooding from a lake, or you have groundwater that seeps into your home, that's when the flood insurance will go into place. Now, State Farm agents, and myself, as well as most of your other insurance agents out there, they are considered brokers for the federal government. So we can write flood insurance for you. That's not a problem. You don't have to go right to the government to get that done.
Oh, okay. Now, when it comes to getting our homes ready for hurricane season, we need to remember the 3 Ps, and they are plan, prepare, and protect. Now, let's start off with plan and prepare.
Okay, absolutely. With planning, you need to go ahead and have some kind of disaster plan in place for yourself. So what that means is sitting down with your family and making sure you have a rally point in case you got separated from a disaster. You also need to have, review your home policies and make sure you understand what type of insurance that you have. That means contacting your agent, seeing what your personal deductible is, as well as doing a home inventory. So going through and just taking a list and taking account of what the stuff you have inside your home, writing a list down and seeing I have a big screen TV, I have these couches, kind of get an idea of what the price is on that. Because God forbid if something were to happen in that situation, you're going to be completely distraught and emotionally drained.
Not thinking.
Yes, so by having that information, we can kind of go through that and get the process started for a claim for you.
Okay, so down to prepare, a preparedness kit.
Yes.
What should we have in it?
Yes, a preparedness kit is a situation that is entailing a whole bunch of different things that we could use for a hurricane that came through.
Okay.
So having that stuff set aside for yourself, drinking water in a non-perishable food, keeping that drinking water in plastic bins instead of glass bins,
right.
First aid kits, portable radio and flashlight, having maps and a cell phone charger. In addition to that, you want to have extra clothing, blankets, and sleeping bags, and understand what your insurance policy numbers are, because just like your Social Security number, that's your insurance policy number. So you need to have that piece set aside for yourself and understand what that is, because if something were to happen, you're going to have the claims group come in, and they're going to need to know your number. They're not going to be able to base it off of your name to find that information.
And of course, we always learn that we need cash.
Yes.
And fill up our tank with gas.
Especially after the recent Sandy storm. We need to have that stuff set aside for yourself. So have extra gas tanks gas tank sitting aside there and cash in your pocket, because the ATM machines are not going to work.
Not going to work. Okay, can you break it down into 3 simple steps to protect our home?
Absolutely. 3 major things you want to do is, first off, you want to close all the shutters on your windows. If you have shutters on there, especially at the beach. I know a lot of houses have those protectors on their house for those storm shutters. In addition to that, if you don't have storm shutters, get some plywood, put that up over the windows to protect those windows from breaking out. Second off, you want to make sure you put your cars in the garage. If you don't have a garage, go ahead and move them away from any trees that could be out in the street. Get them a place out kind of close to a field or something along that lines.
Okay.
And finally, you want to make sure you bring all windborne objects inside. And things that would be like your patio furniture, your grills, any garbage cans, anything like that, and put them in your basement or back in that garage. Now, in addition to that garage, you need to make sure you have something to hold it down inside, like a weight or something along those lines, because when those winds rip through, they can rip up those garage doors on you and just pull everything right back out.
Now, in order to protect our family, sometimes we have to make decisions right on the spot, like, whether we should stay in the house or evacuate, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I would always say this in regards to, should I evacuate or not? You need to listen to Dan and Brian in regards to that. They are the experts when it comes to dealing with a severe weather situation. And I know WBOC and them will point you in the right direction of what you need to do. But if you do, don't have to evacuate and you decide to ride out the storm, make sure you get away from the windows and away from that glass areas, because that can create a lot of problems for yourself. You get hurt that way. Go to the center of the house. If you have a basement, go to your basement. If you need to move towards a place, if you think the storm's getting really bad, go to your closet, go underneath the staircase. But if you do need to evacuate, follow what the authorities tell you to do, local and federal authorities, and follow the evacuation routes or head towards a shelter. And if you can't get into a shelter, if they're packed by that point, then you need to go back to your home and get someplace safe, whether it's underneath that staircase or in a basement.
Okay, storms come, storms done.
Yes.
It's time to start on evaluating.
Absolutely.
What do we look for? What do we do?
Okay, so the storm has passed. We're going outside, check your house, see what's happened. Are my gutters ripped off? Is there a hole in my roof? My father-in-law had a hole in his roof after the Sandy. So what you have to do is take the initiative to put stuff in place to keep it from getting even worse. Whether it's putting a tarp over top of your roof if there's a hole there in case we have another rainstorm come through. Most importantly, if you have a claim, contact your State Farm agent. Reach out to us and we'll get that claims process started for you and get that expedited on that process. If you do decide to do the work yourself, what you need to do is go ahead and keep track of the time that you're doing the work yourself, keep track of the receipts that you're using for that work, whether it's materials that you're using, that type of thing, and you need to talk to us, your State Farm agent, so we can make sure we can take care of that claim if you're going to do it yourself. If you have a contractor come out there, just get an invoice for me, get an idea of what the price is going to be. Do not let them start the work until after we've had a claims adjuster look at everything.
You'll help us out. You'll take
Absolutely.
care of it.
Yes.
You're the man.
Thank you.
So much.
Appreciate
Great
it.
information.
And if you'd like more information from State Farm Insurance on how to stay safe in a hurricane or any storm, go to delmarvalife.com and click on the show tab.